All right. This feels awkward, but it's fine. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel that I guess I am now trying to revamp. I haven't made a YouTube video in literally like 5 years, so doing well. Before though, I was mainly making like stupid little videos that I thought were gonna go viral and make me go famous, or make me get famous. That didn't work, obviously, but now I have like an actual like reason to be doing this, a way to like save a bunch of memories, because for those who don't know, January 17th, I will be checking in to start my Disney college program. Yay, so exciting. It's really been a dream of mine since I was like 12, ever since I first heard about the program. And so I definitely want to have a source to, kind of share my experience with some other people, because you'll see within this video that my experience is already a little bit different, but also just like keep some memories, have a place to look back on, like, oh my god, I did this when I did the Disney college program. Yeah, that. So I'm excited to get this started again. I don't really know how much of this I'll be doing, but I have some ideas, so I'm going to try to piece them all together. I wanted to start off with a video of just talking about my application experience and going through the process of getting medical accommodations, and how that has kind of like changed my process of getting into the DCP so far. Obviously, I'm not there yet. I'm about 3 weeks away from my check-in date, so the real test will be what it's like when I get there. But so far, I can tell you I've already had like a big different experience than the people who are getting there on my same arrival date. So let's go ahead and just get right into it, get to the nitty-gritty, and talk about some details with it. Let's start out with the fact that this year was not my first year applying for the DCP. I actually applied last fall to go spring of 2022 because a professor at my university recommended that I go ahead and apply, see what the application process is like, so that the year that I actually wanted to do it, I knew what I was getting myself into. So I did that. I applied, I did the whole web-based interview thing, and I actually ended up getting accepted. I had to turn down the offer just because of some requirements within my school and the major that I was currently in. So I turned down the offer, but it was nice to be able to know kind of what the application process was like for when I did actually apply this year. That was a good piece of advice from my professor. So I say if you have the ability to do that, go ahead and do it. I checked and made sure before I turned down the offer. If you turn it down, it does not put you on any kind of like blacklist or anything. You literally just start the whole process over again. And even then, if you apply during a 6-month period to go for like the next offering, so like I applied for spring of 2022, if I had applied again for fall of 2022, my web-based interview questions would have been saved and I would have just had to resubmit them. So yeah, if you have the ability to apply but not accept the offer, or apply and maybe not get an offer before you actually want to go, I would say do that just to know what you're getting into. I was watching the Disney programs page very, very, very frequently. I was like checking to make sure, starting early August, okay, are they posting anything that's like teasing that applications are going to open up? Because I knew that they usually opened around the end of August, early September. So the day that they opened up, I basically knew that they were going to be opening, because they posted like a little teaser the Friday before saying like, oh my gosh, something's coming on Monday. And I was like, obviously it's going to be CP applications. So I was waiting that morning, and I think it hit at like 10 a.m. I was in Tennessee, so it hit around 10 a.m. Tennessee time. The application opened up. I applied within like the first 30 minutes of them being open. So definitely was in like the first wave of applicants, which is one thing that I do really suggest doing, especially if you're getting into medical accommodations. I'll talk about that more in a few minutes. Yeah, applied super duper early, like literally first day. The time that I applied the year before that I had to decline, I applied, I believe, like the last week of September, And I actually ended up hearing back from Disney with my offer about a week later. So honestly, I was going in this time thinking, oh, in like a week, I'll hear. No, 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 no. Oh, poor little naive KG. You have to wait for an acceptance wave. I believe the wave that I was in came like 2 or 3 weeks after, but going in with the mindset that it was going to take a week made it feel like months that I was waiting. But yeah, I got my offer actually, I remember the date. It was September 12th, I believe. It was on a Monday. Offers were coming out kind of sporadically throughout the day. But I just remember checking my email as I was driving somewhere, and it was like DCP offer, and then it immediately sends like your next steps as to what you need to do. Super excited, threw a party, and then I was like, okay, let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty, because then I knew that I was accepting my offer. I wasn't able to pick my dates until the day after because my dorms registration login wasn't working. That can happen on big acceptance wave days just because everyone is trying to log in. Don't worry about it. As long as you accept your offer within, I think it's like 2 days of getting it, you're good to go. The minute that I was able to accept my offer and pick my dates, I immediately went on to the next steps email that they sent. I believe that's where they have a link to where you can apply for medical accommodations. This is why I said earlier, apply as early as you possibly can. If you can be within the first wave of applications, you're going to have a much easier time applying for medical accommodations, because those are also things that you should apply for the second you are accepted. Especially in my case, what I have is a chronic illness. I have POTS syndrome, and so I know what my symptoms are. I knew it was going to be happening, and so I had already talked to my cardiologist at the time that I was thinking that I was going to be applying. And I said, okay, listen, I'm applying for the Disney College program. Here's what I think I'm going to be needing. Are you okay with me asking for these accommodations, or are you okay with signing off on them? Of course, he said yes. I went in fully knowing what I would needed to be asking for, what my cardiologist would sign off on, and what my parents were also thinking that I needed to be asking for. So when you go to apply for medical accommodations, Disney has a set form that you're going to fill out. I don't want to show the form on here just because I don't know how confidential that information is of what all is on there. Like, if I were to show like the full thing, I don't know how much that is. But basically it's asking you like what you can and can't do, why you need these accommodations, and then there's a section for your doctor to fill out that's basically the same thing. The specifics of what I asked for with POTS is that I cannot lift, carry, or push anything over, I believe I said 15 pounds. I cannot be standing for more than 45 minutes in an hour without needing to sit down. I need frequent water breaks. I need to be able to take medication while on the job. I need to be in an indoor location just because I have heat intolerance. And then I also specifically asked to not handle any kind of bodily fluids, so vomit, feces, anything like that, just because POTS patients are also considered immunocompromised. So those were the big things that I asked for. I got my paperwork in really, really quickly. And I think that ended up being really good for me in the long run, because I have heard of some people who are just now applying for those accommodations and they get there in like 3 weeks and they're having a hard time hearing back from the accommodations office. So like I said, apply for those ASAP. About, I guess, a week after I sent in my application paperwork, I got a call from a Florida number and I was like, oh, I should probably pick that up. Yeah, I should pick that up. So I answered it and it ended up being my accommodations, I'm going to call her contact, who was in the office of HR with Disney. And she was just basically calling to go over my paperwork, ask a few questions, and then just get confirmation of those are the things that I was asking for and see if I had any questions. So she went over everything. One of the things that we talked about was I had originally also asked if there could be some kind of accommodation with the absence policy. They won't accommodate the absence policy just because it is company policy. However, she did say that she was going to talk to whatever management team that I was placed with just to see if they would be willing to work with me, because I have a chronic illness and because I have flare-ups that are unexpected, and some days it's just impossible for me to get out of bed. So it was a very, very easy phone call. It took maybe 10 minutes for us to go through everything. And then I believe I heard from her one more time, just confirming my push, pull, carry, and standing accommodations, just because she had a few little questions with those. And This was probably the most unexpected thing of going through the medical accommodation process, and I want to put a huge disclaimer of that this may not happen for everyone. It may have only happened for me just because I had asked about the absence policy, and I was I told her I was very concerned about the standing time, just because if I do stand for too long, I do pass out onto the floor. And I think it was one of those things of where she just needed to talk to the management team to discuss those things. But my 20th birthday, November 5th, so like 2 months after I submitted my accommodation paperwork and everything, I got a call from my contact at Accessibility and Accommodations, and she said, "Hi, I just wanted to let you know that I've been talking with management teams about your accommodations, and we have decided that we're going to be placing you in the Emporium in Magic Kingdom." And I was in the car with my family, and I was just like, okay. And honestly, the things she said after that, I don't really remember. It was along the lines of they're mainly going to be putting me on register because they can put a stool back there for me to sit down. She talked with the management team, and they are willing to figure out a plan with me for if I do have a flare-up and cannot come into work, which was great to hear. And she basically just told me that that was going to be my location, and then I would be getting more information the closer that I got to my arrival date. TLDR, I believe that's what you call it for this portion of it. Apply early. One thing that you also want to be sure of with applying early, make sure you talk to your professors, your advisors, anyone at your school before you apply super early, just so that you have confirmation that this is something that you can do through your school without getting like uber behind, unless of course you're okay with that. And to which I say, I aspire to be you. Make sure that you're discussing it with your advisors and your professors to make sure that it works for you long before you plan on applying. I actually spoke to my advisor the spring before I applied, like when I was applying for my fall courses, and I said, listen, I'm applying for the Disney College program. I want to make sure that I'm on track for everything. And he made sure that we got my plan laid out to include the Disney College program. And then of course we had a backup one for in case I didn't get in. Apply for medical accommodations early. I'm not kidding when I say apply for those as soon as you know your dates. Do not wait until the last minute, because they will either just not respond to you in time or it will not work out in your favor. I promise you. The earlier, the better. And now I want to get into one part that I had a hard time finding information on when I was going through my application process, and I still have a bit of a hard time finding information on it. Housing and medical accommodations. I've heard differing things the whole time that I have been going through this process. If you don't know, Flamingo has 3 different kinds of room setups. They have a 2x2, which is a shared bedroom and a shared bathroom. They have a 4x2, which is a private bedroom, shared bathroom. And then they have a 4x4, which is private bed and private bath. With my university currently, I have a private bed and private bath accommodation, again, just because of that immunocompromised medical concern with the POTS syndrome. And I was fully expecting to be able to kind of also maybe get that accommodation when I went to Disney, just because they do offer a 4x4 housing. But as I was looking through everything before I applied, I realized on the Flamingo Crossing website that it very clearly states on the page, if you require a private bed and private bath accommodation, we cannot guarantee it, and you should opt out of program housing. That immediately sparked some anxiety for me and my family, because we were like, okay, do we put faith and trust into maybe getting a 4x4 apartment, or do we opt out of program housing and find somewhere for me to live off property? So in talking with some advisors from both Disney and just some people who had done it the previous semester, I made the decision to opt out of program housing. Have heard of some people who are submitting applications for accommodations for housing. I'm not really sure how that's going, especially since my arrival date hasn't gotten their lease yet. But I have managed to find off-property housing pretty easily. They do have a lot of apartment complexes in the area that will offer deals for DCP students. that's just one of the other ways that my application process is a little bit different, was that I had to factor in finding separate housing. Again, if you are someone who needs private bed, private bath, find out about those accommodations early. And then if you are choosing to opt out of program housing and not put faith into possibly getting a private bed, private bath, start looking for housing early as well. I think that's all I really have about like my application and medical accommodation journey so far. Again, like I said, the real test will be when I get there in just a few short weeks. And I definitely want to keep updating on this whole process, because I feel like medical accommodations aren't something that are very frequently talked about with the Disney College program, but they're something that are very important to me. It's something that I'm hoping will keep me feeling safe and healthy while I'm there on my program, and I can't wait to see what my experience is like with them. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm so excited to start documenting all of this journey. I'm literally just over the moon to get started. My Disney Instagram is going to be linked below, probably also my personal Instagram, but Disney Instagram is definitely going to have more Disney content on it, obviously. So I'll put that below, and yeah, I'm so excited. Bye.